What's up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Yuri Choi. I'm so glad that you are here today. And today I'm actually in the process of mourning my grandfather. His name was Hwan, and he is someone who took my mom and I in when my mom got divorced, and we lived with him and my grandma from the ages of 4 to like 11 years old in Seoul, Korea. So, for me, this man was kind of like my father figure for many years of my very early important years of my life. And I'm super grateful for him and his life and all the beautiful memories and all the ways that his presence was just really supportive, and he was like the rock of our family. And so I actually just got to see him in South Korea while I was visiting. And there was a moment where I was like holding his hand, and I told him that I'm going back to the States, and he knows what that means, even though he has a little bit of Alzheimer's. And he started crying, and this is not an emotional man. I mean, this is a 94-year-old Asian man who barely ever shows his real deep emotions. So it was really moving for me to experience that. And he looked at me and said, this is probably the last time I'll see you. And I said, no, Grandpa, like, I'm gonna definitely see you again, and I'm gonna be back, so just stay healthy, and all that. And as much as I did want to believe that, I think there was a part of me that kind of knew that it could be the last time. But anyway, super grateful for all the lessons that he taught me. And today, with that in mind, the topic I wanted to talk about today is this idea of impermanence. So here's the thing, and this is something that I get to be really present to every time I experience some kind of grieving or death of person, a thing, whatever. And I want to challenge us, because I think our society always talks about like live fully, live fully. But are you also dying fully so that you actually create the space to live fully as well? When I say die fully, I don't mean like physical death. But when we think about like each of these moments in our lives, what we do know is that every moment is being born, right? Like this moment is being born right now. This moment has never existed. It's being born into this universe right now. But there's also a death of each moment. There's a moment that's dying as well as birthing every single moment. It's like this divine duality where both of those exist, and where those meet, we call it the present moment. But if you think about what the present moment really means, is that there's things that are dying constantly, and there are things that are being birthed constantly. I mean, this is happening in our bodies and our cells. I mean, everywhere you look in nature, this is kind of the natural cycle of life. So today, this is a long-winded introduction, and also a little tribute to my grandfather. But what I want to talk about is this idea of really fully dying so that you can fully live. And let's get into it right now. So today I want you to, even if you've heard this before from like a living fully perspective, I invite you to think about it with the lens of what would this mean if I was also dying fully each moment, putting every moment to rest fully and mindfully, so that you can open up the space to be really, really powerfully present and live to the fullest as well. So let's get into this. Number one, live overcoming fear. I want to share something with you guys, which is that when I had a yoga fit apparel line a couple years ago, and I co-founded it with a friend at the time, and our mission was to inspire people to live fearlessly. We loved that word so much, to live fearlessly, and that was kind of like the bigger goal. But oftentimes now I've been an entrepreneur, I've been a coach for the last 4 years, and not only have I overcome my own fears, but I've helped a lot of high performers and CEOs in my vortex with their ways of overcoming fear. And I've also studied a lot of amazing, incredible humans who are doing amazing things, and watching them do things, they don't actually wait until the fear is actually completely gone. In fact, they do it with fear. They live and they go for whatever it is that they want with fear anyway, knowing that it is always a part of the process. And I believe this is a part of dying fully, because here's the thing, you're not going to all of a sudden get rid of all your fears the moment that you die. You're probably going to have some of these fears still remaining in your body, in your system, or whatever. And each moment you just say, this is where I'm at, and this is where the fears are coming from, and I'm going to go for what I want anyway. So my invitation for you is to really live and die fully by doing things with fear anyway, and going after what it is that you really want to do, even if you're scared. Do it knowing that it's not going to completely be fearless. There's not going to be this magical moment and you say, oh my gosh, I'm completely fearless now. You just get to say, okay, let's go. I'm scared, but let's go. I know this is the next evolution, this next step in growth for me. I went skydiving 2 years ago now, and I remember I was about to jump, and the guy's like, okay, any last words? And I said, the guy that was attached to me, because I was doing tandem skydiving, and I said, I don't want to go. I decided I changed my mind. He's like, well, too bad, we're going. And even though I didn't really mean it in that moment, I was this close to changing my mind. But I went anyway, and it was amazing, and I'm clearly survived, and I'm okay. So what that experience taught me is that living fully and dying fully means that we get to move forward with fear anyway, because guess what? By doing that fearful Yuri that's never gone skydiving, that was so terrified, died in that moment. That identity just died because I went forward with that fear anyway. So that is my number one tip in living as well as dying fully each moment. Number 2, live with extreme amount of gratitude for everything and anything. Now, of course, we hear this all the time, live with gratitude. But what does this have to do with dying? Because here's the thing. I actually did this death meditation with a Greatness Foundation a while ago, and it was this business retreat that I did in Bali. And one of the things that we did, and oftentimes I actually walk my clients through a very, very similar meditation now, which is a death meditation where they get to visualize what it would feel like to actually die. And it's cool because it gives us an opportunity to really feel what it would feel like to have that ego death, and to actually separate from your body, and what really, how are you thinking from that perspective, and so on. And when I came out of that meditation where I got to visualize my own funeral and all the people there and whatnot, what I realized was that there's just so much gratitude for all these people that I know would be at my funeral, because they are currently present in my life, or they've impacted me in some way or another, or vice versa. And I just started having so much gratitude for being able to live, just knowing that that moment could be any time, and that moment is actually never, ever. It comes without a warning. I mean, yes, my grandpa was 94 years old, but he was pretty healthy, to be honest. Nothing was wrong that day, and we had no idea that was going to be the day, even though we kind of knew this day was coming. So it's we get to live with gratitude, and that's one thing I'm so grateful about, ironically, is that when I was leaving, I got to say all my thank yous to him in a letter, and I got to really show him my appreciation through my gesture. And I'm so grateful I did that, because that allowed me to live fully, so that that moment could rest fully as well. And his memory in my heart and my mind can also rest and die fully. Number three is similar, but living with kindness and treating everyone as if it's the last time that you might see them, because it's the truth. So you just don't know. I don't know if it's this Mercury retrograde or I don't know what's going on, but I've heard of many, many passings in the last couple weeks, like many. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of humans being born and there's a lot of people going as well. It's kind of like that natural cycle in my bubble of life. So while I'm surrendering to it, I am just so present to the fact that we just never know when is the last time that we're going to see anybody. And how often do we just mindlessly like say goodbye or don't take the time that we get to spend with certain people with like just so much gratitude? Like, for me, any moment that anyone spends with me, I'm just so grateful for. And I try my absolute best to be present as much as possible. And I'm just so genuinely grateful for any moment that I get to spend with anybody. Because I truly understand that the one thing that's really limited in this life and this particular reality that we live is time. And the fact that people share their time with me and to co-create these memories and experiences with me, there's no other, no other gift that could be just as, just beautiful. So yeah, so living with kindness and treating everyone and saying goodbye to everyone as if it's the last time. I'm not saying, you have to be sad about it, but like always speak from your heart so that you can know that even if that was the last time, there's not going to be any regret. And I think in a way that's really helping me get through this grieving period with my grandpa this time, because I really do feel expressed from my heart of everything that I wanted to say to him has been surfaced and has been said and communicated to him. The next one is focus on what matters. Focus on what matters and let go of all the little things that don't really matter in this life. Like, I heard this somewhere. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, like don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking or worrying about it. And lastly, this is kind of an interesting one as we talk about transformation and changing and shifting often in my industry, which is the willingness to grieve who you no longer are. Which sounds weird, because we're like, yeah, let's become this, better version of ourselves. Like this is often comes up in my, coaching with my clients, and that's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong, but one thing that most people don't expect to experience that comes up right away is actually this grieving of like who you're actually letting go of. That's no longer gonna be there anymore. I experienced this many, many times, especially when I was like first getting into coaching and personal development, all that. It's like, whoa, like when I am growing, what I'm hearing is that I have to let go of this Yuri that has to be always right and has to be in control. And yes, I mean that's so good for like the evolution of who I'm becoming, but it's like oh my gosh, like I still have to like let that Yuri die, that identity die, that ego die. And there's like certain attachment that you still get to process on this human level. And you have to like grieve that. You have to like literally let that part of you die away so that this new version of yourself can actually emerge and be created as well. So, and I'd be happy to go more into this. I mean, I think that's a topic that I can totally create more videos on, but I wanted to share some of those things with you. Essentially, like I mentioned before, what I'm really here to express here is that there's a divine duality in each moment, that there's birthing and there's dying. And it's actually one and the same thing. So if you want to live fully, you also get to often reflect about what does it mean to die fully in each moment, and like letting go of those attachments, things that don't serve you, and staying like super grateful of all the things that are so like right here in that present moment. So you can let it go, and even when it does fall away, you get to see it as, a beautiful part of the journey rather than being sad that it's just gone. So, anyways, you guys, again, my name is Yuri Choi. I'm a performance coach for high achievers and CEOs, and I am so grateful that you guys are all here today, and thank you so much for, taking the time to really listen to my story about my grandpa. I mean, obviously, this is something that's been on my heart this whole week, and yeah, again, so grateful for his impact, him in my life in general. So please take a moment to send him good thoughts if you would like. And other than that, please subscribe. More videos coming. And oh my gosh, I've been actually through a freaking journey in the last couple weeks, months. So I'm here to share more of those experiences, and those are coming. So, and the lessons from it all. So feel free to subscribe. Other than that, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sending you guys so much love. Bye, y'all.